Today we're looking at Willy's Wonderland, a 2021 comedy action horror film directed by Kevin Lewis and starring the one, the only Nicolas Cage. The plot goes as follows. A silent stranger with a penchant for punch soda and some car trouble is forced to work off his repairs overnight at a condemned animatronics-based family restaurant. But he slowly starts to realize there's more to these puppets than meets the eye, and as the night goes on, they realize the same could be said about him. The first big positive about this movie, Nicolas Cage. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I love this man unironically. He's one of a kind, he makes every movie he's in entertaining, and that is a hill I'm willing to die on. He's great in this movie as usual. The best way I can describe his character is imagine if Michael Myers was a force of good. He's silent, mysterious, you don't know his origin or motive. It's awesome. His reaction to the situation he's in is so perfect. It's like he's seen it before. He just kicks some ass, duct tapes his wounds up, changes his shirt, and goes back to work. This movie gets huge points for me just based around his character. He's ambiguous and efficient. Every scene he's in either has you cheering or makes you wonder what the fuck this guy's story is. Okay, back to the actual rest of the movie. It's kind of got this pastiche, grindhousey feel to it, and it's really well made. No problems with the production value, and the acting is all really solid. I also feel like it's required to mention it's of course heavily influenced by Five Nights at Freddy's. It doesn't really bother me. This premise is a really solid one grounded in any 80s or 90s kid's deepest nightmares, and movies need to be made about it. If Scott Cawthon doesn't want to make it happen, well, two other studios have at this point, and I thought both were pretty good, so. The effects are cool. It isn't a super bloody movie, but they actually fill that void with robot gore. I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say Nick Cage is gonna kill some of these animatronics, and when that happens it's over the top and brutal, with machine parts and oil spraying everywhere, taking the place of blood and guts, which was a fun, unique choice that worked for me. It gives you that visceral, impactful effect in the same way. As for the puppets themselves, I think one was CG, but the rest were practical. They were mainly just people in costumes, from what I could tell, but that means you got to see them plenty, and there was no jankiness to them, and a couple were genuinely uncanny and creepy. I think the biggest problem this movie had was two scenes in particular, which were both very long, drawn-out exposition. It happens twice, everything stops so we can flash back and get what we supposedly need to know. These scenes last about 2 or 3 minutes each it felt like, and they weren't necessary. You can leave visual clues for the audience to piece together. It makes the story better even if we don't get the full detailed rundown. Stopping for backstory like this is almost never great, and I think this movie suffers from that. Aside from that, a couple of the characters' motivations seem weird and unrealistic to me, and not in a tongue-in-cheek, it's supposed to be a silly movie kind of way, but in a way that was just there to move the plot forward and just didn't work if you put any thought into it. Another small annoyance was some of the stylistic choices. Like I said, it's kind of a grindhousey exploitation style movie, so it has the color grading and stuff which didn't bother me, but some of the quick jumpy editing and strobe lights and the fight scenes were hard to watch. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie though. It's one of those crazy stylized movies with a zany premise that's right up my alley. Adding Nick Cage to the mix only makes that better. Some of the long exposition scenes and harsh editing can pull you out a little, but not really enough to hurt the overall experience. I highly recommend this to anybody wanting a fun popcorn movie. Of course, it is a must-see if you're a Nicolas Cage fan. There are rumors of a sequel, and I can only hope it'll be centered around Cage's character, keeping him ambiguous and not trying to explain him away or focus on the puppets any further. I think if they did that, this character could have a long line of fun movies, maybe fighting other crazy shit in between soda and pinball breaks. But anyway, thanks for watching, like, subscribe, all that stuff. Until next time.